a step over there. He walks past him, and then it's just a bit of magic.
Opening up for a shot for Moises Caicedo!
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. Tonight, Jamaica is building, but can we build fast enough? And for whom? 57 developments are now behind schedule, even as the government moves to establish the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NaRRA. Questions are emerging about whether the system itself can deliver. Then, inside Lead Story today, as prices rise and developments move further out, who can still afford to own a home in Jamaica? We'll be talking about that as some people see the property ladder slipping out of reach. We also turn to artificial intelligence as Jamaica pushes for AI readiness. Do we have the laws, the infrastructure, and the protections to keep people, especially children, safe? And a story of excellence. A technical high school principal has been named Principal of the Year. What does it say about the future of Jamaica and our education system? I'm Jody Ann Quarry, and this is Lead Story. We begin with the state of construction in Jamaica. According to the Real Estate Board of Jamaica, more than 157 housing developments across the island have passed their estimated completion dates. These projects span multiple parishes and range from small 4-lot schemes to developments exceeding 200 units. Buyers have paid deposits. Homes remain unfinished. And the regulator has now confirmed that legal proceedings have been initiated against at least one developer, a matter that remains before the courts. And it is happening just as the government prepares to scale up reconstruction through the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NaRRA. NaRRA was tabled in Parliament on March 19. Prime Minister Holness has described it as a body that will operate at a scale and speed this country has never seen before. Its immediate financing stands at $1.5 billion, drawn from Jamaica's catastrophe bond and contingent credit facilities with the Inter-American Development Bank and the World Bank. Here's the question. If projects are already delayed, what happens when we ask the system to do more? With me is Roger J. Allen, Second Vice President of the Realtors Association of Jamaica. Roger, welcome to Lead Story.
Well, thank you. Thank you to your listeners, and it's my pleasure and honor being here on behalf of the Realtors Association of Jamaica.
Thanks so
And
much.
we are the voice for real estate.
Well,
So I'm glad to share with
this
you.
is a voice we need to hear from right now, because we're being told that at least 157 developments are now behind their estimated completion timelines. And from where you sit in the industry, is this abnormal, or is this what currently the system produces? Is this what we just do?
Well, I'm not surprised at the pace and the number of developments happening across the island. We certainly, as the Realtors Association of Jamaica, we are not surprised. But what, however, is of concern is the number of incomplete developments, as is reported by the regulator, the Real Estate Board, through the acting CEO, Christopher Brown. And just to say that we are definitely supportive that the Real Estate Board, one of the things it seeks to do is secure the interests of depositors, of buyers. And that's very important that, such due diligence is done, and where necessary, the appropriate action is taken.
That due diligence is an important part of the system, especially with things being put in place to take care of those people who have paid. But let's talk about those delays first. Because of those delays, how much of it is market conditions, so labor, materials, financing, and how much of it is state processes like permits and approvals that are now leading us to have so many behind?
Okay, so whilst we cannot comment on the information that the Real Estate Board has in front of them, one of the things that we can say as real estate practitioners, and yes, I'm speaking on behalf of the Realtors Association of Jamaica, we comprise over 1,900 licensed real estate practitioners, and we're designated as realtors by virtue of our affiliation with the Global National Association of Realtors. So what is intertwined in all of this? We are aware that some of the issues faced in terms of incomplete developments, number of reasons. Well, one of them, and we're not going to exclusively blame it, we know there are a number of setbacks in terms of timeline deadlines with the passage of the hurricane, even as it speaks to developments outside of the hard-hit areas. Now, some other issues happening is that you have a lot of new players in the built sector who have been granted development licenses. And when I say new, they are not bona fide construction professionals. Yeah, a number of persons or entities, let me say, are more or less what you call seasoned and entrepreneurial opportunity. So one of the things that has cropped up from time to time is that with some of these developments, they may be lacking in that experience-based knowledge.
So that technical experience is what they don't have. If you don't have that technical experience, would you be able to then push through the permits and the approvals that are necessary? Or would you be able to know what kind of labor, materials, and financing would be necessary to complete on time and in full?
For the most part, you have persons who acquire the land and then they're, so to speak, they're doing their whole homework or fact finding to say, okay, what is it I need to do now? And be it the approvals concerning the local authority, we're referring to the parish council, of course, we're referring to NEPA, we're referring to also the fire department, and finally, and most importantly, we're referring to the REB, the Real Estate Board. Why did we say, or why did I say finally the Real Estate Board? Because after every other state agency has granted their approval or green light, it's at that time when the Real Estate Board, having looked at everything, at that point they do grant the approval, the license for the construction or the development to proceed. Now, despite all of that, developer, getting the technical persons and assistants with certain things, what we find is that there are quality-based issues in terms of the construction. There are at times project management deficiencies there, and the cost overrun sometimes stem from a number of factors: quality, cutting corners, It can be where the forecasted estimate is not necessarily on, and there are other mitigating factors that technical issues that may be somewhat unforeseen or not properly calculated.
But here's the problem, Roger. Having explained now a laundry list of things that some players might not have in place, might not be doing, and as you said, they might be entrepreneurs seizing the opportunity. There are more opportunities now than ever with the introduction of NaRRA. The National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority is now being described as a body that will operate at scale and speed that Jamaica has never seen before. Does that solve these delays, or does it enter a system that's already structurally constrained because of existing commitments and now some of these problems you've raised?
Okay, so let me say again and reiterate that we cannot say, because there are ongoing legal issues, as the Real Estate Board has pointed out. But for the Real Estate Board to be on top of what is happening there, we definitely commend them, and I'll tell you why.
No, but Roger Allen, the question is not about the Real Estate Board, it's about a new body, NaRRA. The Real Estate Board is doing this, 157 plus developments are behind. They have one before courts, others that they might bring before the court. But NaRRA is a new body that is supposed to fast track everything. If you are saying that there are problems and bottlenecks here, does a new body like NaRRA speed this up? Does it remove some of these bottlenecks? Does it put things in place that Jamaica can say next year we don't have 500 behind because we have new construction, but we fix this problem?
Okay, so with NaRRA at the table, we don't know how NaRRA is going to interface. We don't know the extent to which they are able to fast track certain issues that are there, because there are a number of factors that will be dependent on how they can fast track issues. But certainly with the presence of NaRRA, it will be what I call welcome support in addition to what is there, owing to the pace at which we are developing the landscape.
All right, quickly, before we take a break here, talking about now people purchasing houses, is some of the shortage that we see as a result of people not being able to price costs with certainty because of the increase in price in construction material, especially not only after Hurricane Melissa, but also because of the global oil spikes?
Yes, there are a number of factors at play. And one of the things that I think needs to be brought out here is also the issue where you have a number of unsuspecting buyers. And some of them are actually in the diaspora, and they may have traveled on a vacation, short visit, for whatever reason you name it. But they see a development and they like it. And they deal directly with the developer. And in one or two instances, the deposit is made directly there. Now, we, without reservation, we encourage buyers, anytime you're going to buy a property just like that, seek a realtor first. And most importantly, the deposit should be paid through your attorney and not directly to, a developer. These are some of the things that we caution against, because at times too, there are some incentives to say, make a deposit, no, deal with me, and, you're going to get a discount. We have seen that happening. And one of the things we encourage is that deal with a realtor, because from our experience-based practice as practitioners, there are times we will detect red flags, and a red flag may not be there necessarily at the time that you're interested to buy the property, but somewhere down the road they emerge. And one of the things that we do as realtors, especially through the agencies, is that we monitor the progress of the ongoing development.
And I think, right, and I think that sort of process of looking at what is going on is incredibly important. Roger J. Allen, second vice president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica. We'll take a break and come back, because if we can build, can we afford what's being built? We'll talk about that next here inside Lead Story.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The Time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
It's the creativity on the left. Brilliant. Worth every penny.
Haaland into a rally!
A step over there, he walks past him, and then it's just a bit of magic.
Opening up for a shot for Moises Caicedo! The unthinkable unfolds before our eyes!
Welcome back. We've just discussed the challenges of building. Now, the reality of buying. Jamaica is building. Cranes are up from Portmore to Montego Bay. New developments are being announced across parishes that were once considered affordable alternatives to the capital. And yet, fewer Jamaicans are getting mortgages. Home prices are rising. Interest rates remain elevated. And for many Jamaicans, the question is no longer when they will own, but whether they will own at all. Roger J. Allen, second vice president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica, remains with me. Roger, are we having more expensive material costs for the buildings that we're looking at nowadays?
Absolutely. When you get an estimate today, it is literally not valid, certainly not for 4 months, that sort of thing, because of just, construction prices, the cost of materials, etc. So one of the things that we recommend when, of course, I see a development, you deal with a realtor, and also one of the things we recommend is a conveyancing attorney who, focuses or specializes especially in purchasers who are, buying into a development, because they will ensure that in terms of what the buyer, you're getting into, that as much as possible, that your interest is being secured and protected. Very important.
Incredibly important. That's if, though, you can get on the property ladder and get into a development. NHD data shows new mortgage loan volume fell by nearly 30% in the 2023 to 2024 financial year, and loan value by 37%. For ordinary Jamaicans trying to get on the property ladder, trying to own a home, what does that decline actually mean in practice, Roger?
Okay, so there are what you call the supply and demand variables. One of the things I will point out in that, if you look at what is happening all over, our data, and it's something that we had shared on behalf of the association about 5 weeks ago. What we found for 2025 was that despite the fact that Kingston and St. Andrew in particular is the #1 in terms of real estate productivity. I'm talking revenue from closed transactions and volume. The #2 is actually the parish of St. Ann. And despite St. Ann having less transactions per capita or per transaction, St. Ann has topped Kingston and St. Andrew. Now, when you look at that in terms of the price points that are there, if, for example, the land is costing so much to acquire, then it's going to have a ripple effect or domino effect in terms of the price in the units. One of the things that we have said, and the government has stepped in this direction, is providing or facilitating affordable housing in strategically in various communities across the island. But yes, you're going to hear comments that it is not happening fast enough, and for some, in the quantities that are there. And yes, even the cost of what we call housing through the NHT or funded by the NHT, you do hear persons saying there is so much that they can afford in terms of getting the financing and paying a mortgage despite their NHT benefits.
Despite and because, let's talk about two things coming out of what you said there a moment ago, prices and affordable housing. First, let's talk about prices, because St. Anne, you said, as a parish, had less transactions, more money. That means that they were priced higher. We're watching then people watch the prices of houses go up. When prices rise faster than wages, and there's been a whole conversation about wages being flat in this country, at what point in time does that become a structural barrier for people even ever owning a home?
Okay, so let me just say, when you say price higher, it's what the market is willing to pay. And certainly, as has happened in the corporate tier and parishes like St. Anne, and also some of the what we call the coastal real estate, what we have found is that what we have listed it for, the purchasers are coming in above the asking price, right? And so we have seen that for, quite a few years now. And we, in terms of the engagement, being a voice of real estate, we would have engaged our authorities and said, the government, so to speak, and say, listen, what can be done, across the island in terms of affordable housing? Because we have seen the need for that, where the average civil servant, can only afford little or so much.
But hold on, Roger. You spoke about something in the last segment. I'll pull it back here, which is the impact of the diaspora, because you have spoken about people coming down to Jamaica. They might be Jamaicans, they might be people visiting, and they, with often from stronger currencies, can afford to come into the housing market, come in above asking, and pick up homes. What's the impact of the diaspora in that data that you're seeing? Because if Jamaicans want homes and people gobble it up because they have more money, even though that's happening, it doesn't mean then that those people who want homes here don't still want them.
Yes, people actually do want them here. And again, I will share with you that a number of the purchases concerning people who are born in Jamaica are not those who live in Jamaica, as I said, the diaspora. Because yes, the purchasing ability or the purchasing power is typically greater than those that are here. And there have been a number of factors that have been ramping up the interest from overseas in persons, buying their own stake in Jamaica. Let us just say it revolves around, there's a popular song that said years ago, when you check it out, Lord, knowing no better than you are, because there are a number of issues happening globally, even currently, where persons say, I need to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, wherever I am in the world, and I'm going to invest in Jamaica. And so that is what we call that activity, or that interest has heightened. So yes, it's all part of the demand variable, and where do we, where is available property for not just the diaspora persons, but for persons who live on the rock, who work on the rock.
Who live here, work here, and want what you have made reference to, affordable housing. But what we're noticing is that affordable housing development is moving further from urban cores, that's the Kingston and St. Andrew that you spoke about, into St. Catherine, into Clarendon and beyond, further away from where people often work. The majority of our population is somehow connected to a capital in a parish, and even more than that, to the capital of the country. As that happens, what's occurring to prices in those areas that were previously considered affordable? Now people who live in or work in Kingston and St. Andrew need to be nearby but want to own a house are now taking their money and moving into these formerly more affordable communities.
Again, so there is demand basically in terms of properties that we're seeing as just not much happening there. And we'll use the St. Thomas example, because I recall, and some of us were discussing it, that there was a beachfront land in a particular community in St. Thomas, and we're talking 1 acre. And yours truly was involved in the sale of that property. And can you imagine that the 1 acre sold at the time, and this was before COVID, for 23 million Jamaican
This
dollars.
is also before the highway was completed as well.
Yeah, before COVID.
So the access into St. Thomas, the roadway into St. Thomas, and therefore the the pricing of the property in St. Thomas now would not reflect what we have in 2026, which is this need for housing and this accessible highway that allows people to easily make it there.
You see, the demand was always there for housing or development in even what we call communities that were underdeveloped. But simply put, even for St. Thomas, as the project was announced and moving to, okay, the commencement of the project, and this, this will take, a couple of years. Well, you found out that the property, which was, let us say 20 million, there's now a demand price on it for 35 million. And what you find elsewhere in Jamaica is similar. So the government has said whether under Spark or it could be highway or a bypass road that, they're going to be doing this. Look at the perimeter road in, down at Montego Bay. Look at also the Long Hill bypass. The demand for properties around that alignment where the bypass roads are, the property prices, the property values have gone up.
$15 million though in 6 years is a lot of money. $15 million in 6 years as escalation on that St. Thomas property as your example. Moving from about $20 million to now $35 million. Likely to go even higher. That makes that it's now becoming unaffordable for many people. It have to go even further and further. Are we now defining affordable housing as now far and far away from the urban core, further and further away from those roads and those perimeter roads and those easily accessible roads? Is that what we're asking people now to do? Go into more and more undesirable areas at this point in time and hope for the best?
Not necessarily, because in terms of planning, and this is where you would have on behalf of the government, the players like the Planning Institute and others, you will, for example, say that, listen, there are high concentration of jobs in the wider Kingston and St. Andrew, and also to include that Caymanas corridor. But then again, you're the government in terms of Crown lands, you're able to say, I need to secure lands, for housing development, for the workers, for the civil servants and all. And guess what? You can do so. And, what you call undesirable, again, let us use St. Thomas as an example. By the time you, the government, by the time you put in road infrastructure and you create, properly serviced lot or, a proper serviced community in terms of requisite utility infrastructure and accessibility, right? That now has become attractive. And guess what? Irrespective of the demand, in terms of properties in and around that general area or wider community, you are able to, develop housing, affordable housing for, the persons that reside in this country.
I think that planning question goes to the heart of what it is that Jamaicans would need to see, not only as we're seeing the expansion of development all across Jamaica, cranes up all over the country, more development to come with NaRRA, but also hearing from you, Roger, that it's important to make sure that you don't jump into anything without the help and support of a licensed realtor, making it very clear that there's too much going on for you to do on your own. Roger J. Allen, Second Vice President of the Realtors Association of Jamaica. You helped us out today, better understanding what's going on. Thanks for joining us across both segments.
Yes, thank you so much.
Our pleasure. We'll take a break and talk next about artificial intelligence. AI sounds great, but at what cost and at what risk? We'll talk about Jamaica's AI readiness next.
And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are mash up the dance. Oh, what a feeling. Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it dark. Shine your lights on.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Welcome back. Jamaica is moving toward artificial intelligence in government, in business, and now in education. In February of this year, Cabinet directed the reconstitution of Jamaica's National Artificial Intelligence Task Force. The body, 23 members drawn from the public sector, academia, civil society, and private industry, met for the first time on February 19. Minister Andrew Wheatley described AI as a core national infrastructure. The task force chairman has said that Jamaica's concept of education and school is in the takeoff launch for change. But AI is not just an opportunity, it's also exposure. Jamaica still has no AI legislation. The Data Protection Act was passed in 2020, before this generation of artificial intelligence existed. AI systems are now capable of browsing the internet, collecting publicly available data, and retaining it for training purposes. The most recent industry terms from major AI platforms have extended data retention periods from 30 days to now 5 years for users who consent to training, a 6,000% increase. And children in Jamaican schools are already using AI-enabled tools under terms that parents may never have reviewed, governed by frameworks that Jamaica has not yet enacted. Joining us now to help us understand the promise, the possibility, and some of the exposure of artificial intelligence is Christopher Record, Chairman of Jamaica's National Artificial Intelligence Task Force. Good evening to you, Christopher. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. Hope I can answer your questions.
No, man, I'm sure you can answer them. This is old hat for you as someone who's been in data security, artificial intelligence, I suppose broadly for Jamaicans at home, IT, for a very long time. All right? We're talking about Jamaica's artificial intelligence. We're talking about the importance of AI readiness. It sounds great. What does it mean? What does AI readiness actually mean for Jamaica?
So what it really means from a global perspective, which is why the UNESCO had this assessment done, which they do, by the way, for many, many countries all over the world, is, are you ready? Are you ready to take on this new world? How are your laws? What policies do you have in place? What is the, what is the state of understanding? How are tools being used? What's the debate on the ground with respect to this technology? So that's kind of what this was all about.
AI readiness, though, sounds exciting. But then I have to think of what Jamaica looks like. Because the Cabinet reconvened the AI task force in February of this year with a mandate to accelerate Jamaica's national AI program. It sounds nice. But the reality on the ground, digital penetration, basic internet access still remains uneven across Jamaica. So if that foundation is not solid, how meaningful is an AI readiness agenda?
All right, so let's go back to the beginning. When the task force was first created back in 2023, the objective, TOR at that point in time, was to go take a look to see what recommendations the task force have. By the way, the task force is made up of folks from public sector, folks from private sector, academia, a range of folks coming with a wide variety of ideas and thoughts. Great discussions and debate around what's good for the country and what's good for various industries to make the country go forward. And so that report was completed within the timeline. We might have slipped by maybe 1 month because we had a hurricane back then. And we delivered that report to the Office of the Prime Minister, and it was made public on the Office of the Prime Minister's website. And so in that task force report, we spoke about a wide range of things, about 8 to 9 theme areas with respect to economic growth, with respect to education, awareness and just understanding of what this tech is all about, areas of public-private collaboration. So there's a range of things there, and anyone can go to just Office of the Prime Minister, just search AI readiness, AI assessment or AI policy recommendation, and in doing so, you can get that original document.
That original document is of 2023 vintage, though, taken into 2024 when we had Hurricane Beryl. So that would have been the time this report would have been set out. Since then,
that's the first report.
But that's
let me get the full timeline.
That's the first report. Yes, it's the second iteration with the Prime Minister saying, all right, go full speed ahead now in February. However, we've had AI models move so quickly that any discussions we could have been having in 2023 and 2024 are absolutely now not the kind of discussions we might need to be having in 2026. Given then the space between that consultation and report and where we are right now, what are we looking at?
So just a quick correction. Foundational understanding of tools and technologies are still foundational. So whether some specifics may be outdated, the fundamental framework of what the things we're talking about is not. So to give an example, there is concern about children in school at all ages using technology,
yes.
and I use the term technology broader instead of just talking about AI. Because of a wide range of reasons, a wide range of research papers, things that other countries are discovering globally. So they are the theme areas that are still all relevant.
No,
so we're not talking about, once again, we're not talking specifically about things within the AI tools themselves. We're talking about the use and the benefit of the AI tools.
But the challenges of them are certainly going to be questioned as well, because at the time that initial report had been done, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT report had not yet come out, indicating that children were now, especially at high school level, specifically harmed in their use of artificial intelligence, not developing some of those core skills that will take them through life, enabling them to go through and analytically parse through data and information that they're being given.
Luckily for us, we actually have MIT people on our task force, which had these theories from before the paper was even completed.
Okay.
So we're blessed to have those levels of discussion.
But what does Jamaica's law, what does Jamaica's policy, where we are now, move in this direction versus just having a report?
A fantastic question. So these terms of reference that we have just gotten is the first one out of the three, because version 1 was to come up with recommendations. Version 2 was to work with UNESCO to come up to kind of guide the RAM, Readiness Assessment Methodology process, which we completed and was recently launched. The third iteration of the task force, so we've moved from having 17 members to over 20 plus members, 22, 23 members, more stakeholders from more industries coming to now dig a little deeper. So this specific terms of reference ask us to do two things. Number one, actually move from policy recommendation to actually creation of policy. That's number one. Number two, which is the heavy lift and is more specific directly to what you're asking. Number two, ask specifically for what laws in the country will have to be adjusted, changed, amended to ensure that Jamaica has the best AI experience possible. So that's the heavy lift, and that's what we're going through. The process has just begun, right? We've had about maybe 3 meetings with the AI task force already, and so those are the things that we're going through. So what laws are we talking about? Cybersecurity, cyber crimes, things like that. What things will AI be allowed to do versus not? So that's just one example. I think Minister Wheatley gave that example at the launch of the UNESCO paper. Data protection. Yes. How far are we going to go? Are we going to make any adjustments or amendments there? Random example. You're sitting down at your desk now and you are putting in some of CVM's papers into your AI to help you to ask some better questions around this paper. And then someone across the world somehow uses some very interesting prompting and pulls out some of CVM's private information based upon things that you have prompted and put in the system, unbeknownst to you, it's shared globally. Who's responsible? What will happen to you? Those are the things that we now have to debate and discuss, and what laws pertain to some of those things.
I think
globally, this is happening. Globally,
I think that is so important that you put that in context, and that example is a great one for persons here in Jamaica who are accessing artificial intelligence, who are putting information into these large language models. They're going there and they're going haywire. But yes. Jamaica is largely a consumer of AI systems. How does that affect our control over the technology? Because for all the limitations that we might want to put in place, there are challenges, especially that we've had with platforms, social media platforms that will now come to bear here. That is, those platforms have said, we are not responsible for anything. It's the persons that are responsible in their specific countries. But countries have said, we need these platforms to cooperate with us, and the platforms say we operate in jurisdictions that don't require us to cooperate with you at all. That looks like that might be a problem for us. How are we looking to solve it?
Right. So again, so when you mention problem for us, not us alone, this is a global issue. Lots and lots of countries are having these type of discussions. As a matter of fact, last year I was invited to be deputy chair of the Caribbean AI Task Force, and that task force is looking regionally at some of these very, very things. So there are discussions about creating regional models. I just saw recently an organization here in Jamaica experimenting, creating our own models. The fact of the matter is that this is where, and you're right, so you know, we're not the creators of any of this technology at all, we're just the users. By the way, similar, like we were the users of the internet, we were the users of, you know, the World Wide Web, we were users of all of these social media channels that have been out there, and we all just dump our content in. And you know, some people benefit from it. They make money, and they use the technologies and tools for their businesses to benefit. So all of this is happening, and so when you have to weigh out the use cases around issues that may come up from this very use, because you know, cybercrime is real, cybersecurity incidents are real, and those two are separate things, by the way. And the fact of the matter is that who's in charge when the mistake is made,
yes.
All right, or who gets charged, or who's responsible, who has to own it, who will go to jail when those mistakes are made. So all of those things are, some of them are answered in other places already. We have to look at our own laws to make the necessary adjustments. But where are the opportunities? There are opportunities, and one of the things that I've been, you know, discussing with a number of folks. I've spoken at a number of events around AI locally and internationally. And one of the things that I, you know, called my friend at one of the media houses recently, I said, you know, I'm going to write an article. And then maybe my headline is going to be, we need to stop talking about AI. It sounds bad.
No, but it sounds intriguing. In the 30 seconds we have left, tell us why you would want us to stop talking about AI.
We need to stop talking about AI and start doing things with AI, right? So I do maybe about 2 or 3 workshops per quarter with boards and management teams. Almost every meeting that I go into, I have a regular little hands up. Firstly, I want to know what the organization is doing with AI. Most organizations in Jamaica are not doing anything with AI.
But we do have, quickly before we go, we do have the government. Well, we have to, Chris Worker, we're about to close, and I just want to quickly hear from you on this, because the government is working with children in school. We are actually saying to our kids, we're using AI. Do we have any frameworks to protect them as they use that?
So the Ministry of Education actually has an AI policy. It's one of the very first in the region, and one of the very first worldwide. That actually has a specific policy around education. So my suggestion is that you go to the Ministry of Education's website, download it, and take a look at it. Different schools, so I recently spoke at MICO. MICO has their own AI policy. University of Technology, which I just joined the board of that organization, has it. So different organizations are doing things. One of my daughters go to Campion, they have a AI policy recommendation guideline. So different people are doing different things, and it's happening right now. What we as the task force is looking at is making sure that we put in the necessary protection, and making sure that we recommend the various laws that need to change to keep the protection real and to keep the benefit real. And one of the big benefits for us is that Jamaica has the opportunity to become an AI services creator, right? So we're always a user. Jamaica is a cultural superpower. Jamaica is a creative superpower. we can use that creativity to create apps and create various services using all of these AI
And I
tools.
think that is then certainly the mindset that you want to, in your article, we look forward to hearing about it, share with the world. Not only that AI is something to discuss, but something to use. Christopher Record, Chairman of Jamaica's National Artificial Intelligence Task Force. You took us through AI, both the benefits and some of the guardrails that we've put in place. Thank you so much for joining us on Lead Story
Thank you for
tonight.
inviting me.
A pleasure. When we return, the Principal of the Year. We're going to be talking with him. He leads a technical and vocational educational school, and tonight we celebrate him. Stay with us.
Delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than...
Welcome back. If Jamaica is to build, to grow, and to compete, it will depend on people. And tonight, we recognize one of them. The LASCO Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information and the Jamaica Teaching Council named their 2025 Principal of the Year. The winner leads a technical and vocational institution. The principal of St. Mary Technical High School has been named Principal of the Year, a significant moment as well for technical and vocational education in Jamaica. So, joining me tonight is Orville Richards, Principal of St. Mary Technical High School and the 2025 LASCO Principal of the Year. Congratulations, Principal of the Year.
Thank you, and good evening to all viewers and listeners here in Jamaica and worldwide. Thank you very much.
We do have a global audience and a global audience celebrating you, Orville Richards. What does this award mean to you and your school community?
I am deeply grateful and I'm so humbled to have received this award from a very competitive and prestigious group of colleagues who would have gone up or were nominated and recommended for this award. So I feel so honored and privileged to be named the winner. But like I've always said on every platform that I've been on, this award is not an individual award. This award is an award for the one technical team. Here we believe in what we call our philosophy of one technical, a spirit of inclusiveness, a spirit of cultural excellence in terms of what we do. Everything that we do it for the benefit of our students, for our students to excel. So this award is for St. Mary Technical High School, the board, my teachers who go above and beyond, to all my students who have done so well, to all the parents who have supported us, to all the other stakeholders. I tell people that I have about 10 different right hands. My teachers, my admin staff, my ANSIL staff, all of them. So this award is for everybody, and of course the entire region too, spanning St. Mary, St. Thomas, and Portland. That's what this award means to us.
What a grand award, what a great award, and you certainly have made it very clear that the St. Mary Technical High School community, all the people who partner with you to deliver education as well as a broader area of that country benefits from the award. Yesterday, though, we spoke about technical and vocational education here inside Lead Story with the principal of the University of Technology, where he said it's stigmatized and undervalued. Do you believe that technical education is still undervalued in Jamaica?
I would say it is undervalued somewhat, because when you look at students who are sitting, for example, PEP, the parents themselves are preferring for their child to go to a traditional high school rather than a technical high school. But I am optimistic. I would say that the situation is gradually improving. For a very long time, there has always been a bias towards the traditional academic pathway. But now, with St. Mary Technical, with the whole Hard Trust NTA going under the Ministry of Education, I believe that there is a direct thrust towards the improvement of technical education in Jamaica. So when you look at key sectors like construction, renewable energy, hospitality, the manufacturing sector, technical education, I mean, deserve a greater level of significance, because we want to produce job-ready graduates who are armed with practical skills, not only certification, but with the practical skills to make them employable. And here at St. Mary Technical High School, that is really what we want to do. All our students must do skills, and we are big on skills training, competence, and certification.
Your platform is one technical, putting that moniker there for St. Mary Technical High School, but under your leadership as well, you've seen moves and changes. The National Education Inspectorate moved your school, St. Mary Technical, from satisfactory to good. A big jump. Congratulations. What specifically changed under your leadership, and then what do we need to change to get to outstanding?
I believe that the platform was already somewhat in train in terms of where we were as a technical high school. I am just continuing the work, and our motto here at St. Mary Technical High School is development through application and innovation. So we have a team that we call our School Improvement Plan Committee. And these persons, not only the principal, but these persons would come together, and we meet and we charter the pathway in terms of the skills that we want to offer, the innovation that we want to put into what we do. Because, for example, right now we have rolled out what we call our solar-powered aquaponics system that infuses the whole idea of hydroponics in a greenhouse with fish rearing in a catchment pond. We harvest our own rainwater, groundwater. We harvest roof water too that we use in these systems, where we raise our fish and we produce vegetable for our canteen and to sell to external stakeholders. And all of this is solar powered.
This sounds not only deeply innovative for a national level, deeply innovative anywhere else, but extraordinary for a high school. Extraordinary for a high school, having this in place, teaching this to your students, putting in place systems that allow for you to have the vegetables for your canteen, make sure that you have the systems in place to make the most of rainfall. You seem to be doing a lot with the team around you, and you said some of this was in train. Before we go, though, you are the 2025 Principal of the Year. Talk to now the principals and teachers all across the country. How are you inspired, and how do you hope to inspire them this year?
For me, I have always seen education as that vehicle to move you upward in terms of social mobility. I say to my students, I say to my parents, let us do this together. Come on board. because we can do it. Here at St. Mary Technical High School, we offer you everything. Our teachers are so committed. I mean, this award signifies that St. Mary Technical High School, this is not an award for Orville Richards only. I give credit to my VPs, I give credit to my senior staff, I give credit to all the persons, because inclusively they are the ones, we are the ones who made it happen. So this award is a big deal for us, and we are so excited. And I want persons in Jamaica to know that education, we value education. Education, especially with emerging skills these days, we want them to grab the opportunity to wherever the skills are being offered. And I know that the government is pushing trend. MOESY is pushing trend, transforming education for national development. I know that they are also investing in schools, because we just got an upgrade for our electrical lab for $20 million. And in that lab, we are doing renewable energy up to level 2, electrical installation, City and Guild, electrical engineering,
so
CTEC and CAPE.
And you've been able to, and I think this list, given then the kind of leadership that you have, the kind of support that you have, the list of people that you've spoken about for this award, it certainly then shows the kind of work that's going on there at St. Mary Technical High School. And we look forward to catching up with you throughout the year to see how it is that you and your team have done. We're completely out of time though. Orville Richards, Principal of St. Mary Technical High School and the 2025 LASCO Principal of the Year. Thank you for joining us on Lead Story tonight, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you with us. That's it for Lead Story this evening. On behalf of the entire production team here inside Lead Story, I'm Jody Ann Quarry. Have a fantastic evening. And I hope you do stay safe. I hope you stayed safe when I told you to. I hope you stay safe for this weekend. Up next, CVM News.